Alright, how's it going, everybody? Today we're going to start the first of a series of videos on how to use Turning Point. Turning Point is a technology that allows you to create questions through PowerPoint, either in a presentation you've already made or a brand new presentation. And then kids can go and use a clicker to input their answers. So hopefully you have a set of clickers, or you can borrow a set. Um, you then need to put the receiver in one of the USB slots in your computer, and you're pretty much ready to roll. So it does take a little bit of effort to start in order to get Turning Point really working well. And this time I'm going to show you how to make a slide and how to get going with some of the basics in the program. The first thing about Turning Point that you should know is that it is an add-on to PowerPoint, but you actually have to open it first. So over here I have my icon for Turning Point, and I will double click that, and it will open up PowerPoint. But now I have an extra tab over here for Turning Point. And we'll get to some of these options in other videos, but for today, we're going to go and start making slides. So you want to make a question slide, and you'll see that there are a number of options in the Insert Slide menu. The most basic slide is a vertical slide, so we'll go ahead and click that. So when you create a slide using Turning Point, again, notice I created a slide using the Insert Slide button. I did not add a slide like this because this is not a Turning Point slide. So we'll get rid of that. A Turning Point slide has a few parts. The headline or the heading text is where a question goes, and then it creates a list that you can make your answer choices. And then you have this bar graph over here. Again, the type of information that's displayed changes based on which of these you select. A vertical slide with a vertical bar graph is the most basic. You'll see that when students input answers that a graph displaying which answers was picked, or the number of students that, or percentage of students that picked certain answers would be displayed in that bar graph. So I'm going to go do a basic question. You have to just enter the text in there. So I'm going to go, and since I'm a civics teacher, I'll go ahead and make a basic civics question. I'll say, who is the head of the executive branch of the federal government? Pretty basic question. So I'll go through the list here. We have, we can make mayor, we can say king, we could say president, and we could say governor. So we have 4 answer choices. You'll notice when you click off of the choices that the bar graph then is created, and you'll see the answers listed there. So that's really it in terms of creating a slide. You now have a fully functioning slide that you can use and show to students. So a few other tricks in here. First, you can pick a correct answer. Over on the right, there is a bunch of different options, and one of them over here is answer values, and answer 3 is correct. So if we click on it and we mark it as correct, it will automatically mark the other answer choices as incorrect. We can also go and change point values, which is useful if you're creating like Jeopardy style games or ones that's got more difficult questions as you go along. You could change the point values. I'm not going to concern myself with that at the moment. So this is a very nice slide. Now, one thing you can add to your slide, which is helpful, is either a response, either a grid of people who have responded or people that did not respond. This is useful when you're using a list that you've created, and you can usually, I select actually a non-response grid, and you'll just see this little icon. When you go and display the slide, what will happen is this grid will show the students' names in boxes, and um, as they go and they pick their answers, their names will disappear, and it'll cycle through. It displays about 8 to 10, I think, names across the bottom. You'll also notice that it's actually set over here. It takes up this much of the screen, so just be aware of that. But it's still a nice tool to have, and there are ways to edit it, and you can do that, but that's for another time. So right now, that's it. That's a basic slide using Turning Point. You can also add slides to Turning Point by putting them in presentations that you've made. So if I go through a presentation that I've made, let's just say Declaration and Articles of Confederation, Declaration of Independence, it'll load it up. And I can go through my slide. And then let's say right here, I want to go and insert a slide just to check for progress. So I pick where I want it. I go to insert slide again, and maybe I'll pick something different. Maybe I'll make a donut slide this time. And now I can put my text in here. And I'll go make another question text. So I could say, what right is found in the Declaration of Independence? Always misspelling. So what right is found? And I could go, right the first time. So I can go and make answer choices here. I could say pursuit of happiness, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and then religious freedom. And again, I can go and click off and have this slide here. I can also go and insert my grid. So I'll pick non-response grid. One of the things that we might want to think of doing is you can play with these text boxes. So now it would not be affected by this non-response grid. And again, I want to go and pick a correct answer. In this case, answer 1 is correct. So I'll go ahead and save that. So this will just show up with the Turning Point options when it gets to this point in the slideshow. It'll automatically happen, and students can automatically select their answers.